Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you about Ayaka. Strictly the things that people usually don't talk about, but I'm sure you've heard about these things every now and then. Yes, we're talking about things that as an Ayaka player, I have her signature weapon. I've been playing this character for the longest time. She's usually always in one of the teams I bring into the Spiral Abyss. So needless to say, this character is splendid, amazing, fantastic. But that doesn't make her perfect, and there are definitely some things that have made people want to stop play this character. Although it is very difficult once you pick her up and invest into her, you do end up going back to her every now and then to rely on that insane damage. But for the most part, I find her difficult to bring to other things, if you know what I mean. You'll get a better understanding by the end of this video. Now, let's just start with the first thing that I find most people don't talk about. All right, let's just call it that when it comes to Ayaka, and that is how limiting this character kind of is when it comes to reactions. Now, if somebody is sitting down with you, looking you straight in the eyes and telling you they play Superconduct Ayaka, you probably have all the rights in the world to kind of just give them a solid Will Smith to the face, because they're just straight capping. All right, like, while yes, Superconduct teams get why am I even explaining this? Why am I even bothering to explain this to you guys? Of course, Superconduct teams, you can play it. Nobody says you can't. But let's be honest here. Like, nobody is out here claiming Superconduct Ayaka as any sort of non-discovered gem in the Genshin community, right? Like, most people don't touch that. Playing Ayaka in a Superconduct team is like buying a Ferrari to use as a tow truck. All right, and of course, a more meta-based comp that people would play with Ayaka, you can argue a melt comp, right? Ayaka melt, I've seen it. It's okay. It's not like the best thing in the world. Certainly, it's not what most people lean towards for Ayaka, but it exists. However, the problem I have is that all these other options just don't quite stack up to just how insane Freeze Ayaka is. Now, I know this is a video talking about things that irks me about Ayaka, but I just can't stop giving praise to Ayaka where she shines, which is in a freeze team. Now, the problem I'm having essentially is there's a lack of other options, even though she is a cryo character, and cryo characters are the centerpiece of Superconduct, right? But you just never have the option to do so. Maybe in the future, an electro-physical DPS, I know Copium comes out, Ayaka may be a character that has great, or at least decent cryo uptime for a consistent Superconduct application, but until that day comes, Ayaka is going to be almost an exclusive freeze unit, and if you don't like how freeze plays, I'm sure you're not going to pick this character up for the most part. But what's there to not like about freeze? It's such a cheap and easy way to build a character. The Blizzard Strayer set straight up gives you all the crit rate you need in the world, allowing you to go for crit damage headpiece. These carries have some of the best ratios and easy to build options in the entire game, so that's why they're so popular both for veteran players and for free-to-plays and newer players, right? So with that said, that's one of my gripes that I have with her. But the next one, I'm sure a lot of you guys can feel my pain. And that is, as beautiful of a character Ayaka is, and as elegant and stunning and, you know, lovable as she is, you just cannot take this character into the overworld. There's so many things you can't do with Ayaka. At least you can't do well with Ayaka on your team. You're literally walking around, running, and stopped by absolutely nothing, like invisible in front of you. You have no idea what's going on. First reaction when you run into this, you might go check your Ethernet connection or your Wi-Fi router. It might, like, did the power go out in the house? Because it straight up looks like you DC'd. But I assure you, 99% of the times, it's just Ayaka lodged onto something that is infinitesimally, I swear there's an atom out of place or a pixel that is elevated, and she got stuck on that. Because God forbid this character transverse any sort of terrain without getting stuck on something with her dash. Now, God bless the people who played her through beta, because apparently back in the day, her dash was even worse, right? When you were exit her dash skill, you would be locked into her exit animation, and that could be quite detrimental in some cases. And I want to say I have had my fair share of failed clears because my Ayaka dashed out at the wrong time, and even with the updated, you know, reduced animation lock-in, I've still had faced issues where after I finished dashing, I got clapped. all right? It happens, but at the same time, I want to say thank goodness in the Spiral Abyss, they don't have any sort of weird, out of place obstructions. Because the day they want to make Ayaka not as meta, just throw some rocks in the abyss. Tell you, a couple rocks is enough to drop this character's usage rate from probably like 70-80% straight down to 40-50%. You guys think I'm kidding? But there is enough people with enough different variations of teams built that if they have to deal with the bullshit of Ayaka getting lodged and stuck on something and then getting one-shotted by something, they probably will look elsewhere. All right, at least I will. I say that half as a joke because I know some people, they've dumped everything and their life savings into this character, so you know they don't have anyone else to turn to. But for the most part, for veterans, you have at least a third team to build, and if they throw some pebbles and rocks into the abyss for whatever reason, like Ayaka is gonna feel real bad to play. I'm telling you guys right now, and that's just how detrimental her movement to me for the most part is. You guys see behind me here is the chasm as the backdrop. But I gotta tell you guys, playing this character through the chasm, because I was playing Ayato and I refused to pair Ayato with anyone other than Ayaka in the team. Ayaka has to be in the team. Yeah, she in more than one scenario has caused me to just straight up want to take a break from exploration. Now you guys wonder, like, oh, Walrus, why don't you use other characters to traverse? Well, when you finish a fight with a certain character, you just continue walking with the character, right? I never want to press that extra button, even though it's just one button. But to me, it still feels really bad to have to consciously remind myself that this character cannot do this, even though she is a limited character that costs a ton of money and is really good at almost everything else. But this one thing irks me. It just makes me feel so bad that I cannot use this character in this way. I mean, I can, but I'll be heavily punished for it. For the most part, it's going to make my exploration process much less efficient, and it's not even in a cute way like, oh, look at her, she's stuck on a rock. It's like, god damn it, she's stuck on a rock again, isn't she? Right? It's in that way, and I don't ever want to have to take myself out of the game just to get annoyed at it for something that I can prevent. So most of the time, right, I have to make an active decision, switch her out, use another character, which just adds to the annoyance. It adds to the annoyance. Finally, last point, I swear, is the fact that Freeze is quite weak when it comes to fighting bosses, right? Like the giant Mechanicus array boss that if you have ever fought them with using a freeze team, you would know freeze doesn't exist on bosses, which makes it incredibly difficult, right, for her to function at her full potential. Also, her burst skill, if you don't hit frozen enemies, you are almost guaranteed to not get a full burst, right? The only way to get a full burst is if you hit a frozen enemy with it. And with the AI targeting, sometimes, there's two people frozen in front of you, and then you use her burst and she somehow hits the one that's behind you. It happens, people, it happens. And it's such a high cost burst that there will be times you miss that burst, you're rerunning the room, right? I'm not saying that destroys the character. I'm saying it's hella annoying when it happens. And for units like the spatial wolves that kind of teleports in and out and jumps around, and especially when hit by Ayaka's burst skill actually takes a stagger, it gets really annoying. And sometimes they stagger the wrong way. So like you're shooting your burst one way, but then they go in the opposite direction of your burst. So like in a couple seconds, they end up out of your burst. It's really annoying. I'm telling you guys. These are things you would only know if you play this character, and I'm telling you, I've played this character enough to know that it's gonna piss some people the hell off. But is it any reason to not pull this character? I don't think so. I think there's too much of an opportunity cost here. If you don't pull for Ayaka, especially with Shinhe already out, you can see the potential of a full cryo team, right? But I'm letting you guys know that there are definitely things that this character doesn't do well and issues that you will have to play around. So tempering your expectations is essentially what I'm doing here, right? Thank you guys for watching. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Just letting you know, good luck on your summons, and I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, urge y'all to stay safe and peace.